for the phase 1. How much was the phase 1?
We'll check mo na. Yeah.
Tumat po, punta kayo dito, hindi kayo handa. Pag Pilipino na sila, nakakabili na sila ng property. Yan po nangyari. Itong katotohanan eh. Napaikot tayo eh.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. At this point, please allow the chair to deliver his opening remarks to guide the resource persons as well as the honorable members of the committee as to the direction of the committee in this committee hearing today. This is our seventh. Yes, this is the seventh committee hearing on the subject matter on the Mexico-Pampanga drug discovery, and in this seventh committee hearing, we still have yet to see the incorporators of the corporations that we have mentioned in the previous committee hearings. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone. Good morning. Good morning to my esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests and resource persons, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to walk you through the saga that we have gone through the past 6 hearings of this committee. At the start, we discovered the 3 billion shabu shipment delivered to a warehouse in Mexico, Pampanga, owned by Empire 999 Corporation. Despite several invitations, the corporation's officers failed to show up even when their corporate existence has been threatened with cancellation, leading us to conclude that they own the illegal drug shipment. This NBI operation unraveled a web of mysteries. The Chinese incorporators of Empire 999 were able to secure fake documents like birth certificates and passports, which they used to buy 292 titled lands in Pampanga alone, were found to have relations with other corporations. They are also found to have close ties to local government officials who facilitated the transactions and granted the permits they needed to construct warehouse facilities in the area. We accidentally uncovered an elaborate scheme that hid from the scrutiny of our regulatory agencies the interlocking set of incorporators in several corporations. Now suspicions were aroused, and it couldn't be denied that indeed these corporations must have illicit relations. The NBI, the Philippine National Police, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, the Philippine Statistics Office, the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, the Land Registration Authority, the Office of the Solicitor General, and the Department of Justice are now involved in this massive investigation that may well become the mother of all scams by today's standards. The scams are not limited to money, but connect to a much deeper reason, undermining our government and threatening the very existence of our nation. From what seemed to be limited to a serious illegal drug shipment, we are now faced with Chinese personalities posing as Filipinos, bribing their way towards controlling our economy, grabbing our lands, controlling our politicians, and sowing disunity among the populace. To say that this has become a national security concern is an understatement. The involvement of alleged drug personalities in the corporations with obvious ties to Empire 999 pumps adrenaline to our system. It drives us to know more of the secret that the labyrinth holds. Last hearing, the names of Lincoln Ong and Michael Yang came out and were found to have interest in several corporations with suspected links and ties to Empire 999, the owner of the warehouse where the NBI delivered or controlled delivery of the 3 billion worth of shabu in that particular warehouse. Through motions by our colleagues, these individuals are invited today to shed light on their interest in these corporations with interlocking sets of incorporators. Incidentally, when the name of Michael Yang came out, questions as to his identity in relation to past allegations were likewise asked. So to get to the bottom of things, the committee, through proper motions by its members, extended an invitation to former Police Senior Superintendent Eduardo Asierto, who back in 2017 alleged that the two individuals were suspected drug personalities. Colonel Asierto was the former deputy of the Philippine National Police Anti-Drug Operating Unit, or the AIDSOTF, the precursor of the Philippine National Police Drug Enforcement Group, or the PIDEG. It is said that Colonel Asierto, during his stint in AIDSOC, investigated illegal drug trade and was involved in several anti-drug operations. A certain Mr. Arturo Las Cañas was also invited, although we have yet to receive any message from anyone as to how he may be contacted. We were informed, though, that Mr. Michael cannot make it as he is still out of the country. Asierto, we shall await the message from his emissary if he can join us today via Zoom. While we wait, we shall start this meeting by getting updates from the different agencies that I have mentioned a while ago as being involved in this massive investigation. Then we will ask Mexico Pampanga, Mayor, and officials on the update of their inspections or inventories of the warehouses in their area and their owners. From there, we will move forward to the corporations and their incorporators, and then to Colonel Asierto if he is available. In the meantime, please allow me to make a quick rundown of all invited resource persons and their status before the committee. I am saying this because under our Constitution, Congress has the power to investigate matters in aid of legislation, and to be able to exercise that power, Congress inherently possesses the power to compel the attendance of witnesses and resource persons. This power carries with it the power of citing any of these persons in contempt should they fail to honor this invitation.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Currently, the LRA is monitoring these titles to see if any transactions are being made over them. We will, of course, keep this committee apprised of whatever happens. In the meantime, also, we are waiting for cases to be filed so that we can have the titles reverted to the government via SG proceedings.
Okay, so SG. Yes.
May I ask LRA?
Yes, Your Honor.
Supposing before the cases are filed, there will be transfer of ownership of this property. Do we have any reports?
At present, Your Honor, we cannot do that because it would violate a person's right to property.
Mr. Chair, please. Other than SG proceedings, what can the government do to at least forewarn possible buyers that these properties are subject of an investigation, and that as much as possible they should stay away from these properties? Like, would the list pendants be a course of action, LRA?
Yes, Your Honor. Notice of list pendants would be proper to apprise the public that there are proceedings over the particular parcels.
Even if the cases does not necessarily have anything to do with the properties, for example, drugs or something like that, or falsification of these documents that led them to have Philippine citizenships.
So, Your Honor, I'm afraid that it has to go into the very ownership or legal possession over.
That's precisely my concern, LRA, no? Kasi it's 291 titles, di ba? And I don't want that to be just like gone after people start knowing that we're really digging into this. Di ba? I'm asking you, or any of the government agencies present here, what can be done to preserve these properties?
We can, Your Honor, we can have a freeze order implemented if the AMLAC will file with the court a request for a freeze order.
AMLAC, what can we do, AMLAC?
In any money laundering investigation, Mr. Chair, that is one of the possible legal action that the MLC can do. But again, Mr. Chair, as I mentioned in the previous hearing, it must be proven that there is a reasonable ground that these properties are in any way related to the unlawful activity.
Well, if you're questioning their citizenship, wouldn't you in effect be questioning their ownership of the property since they are not Filipino citizens?
Mr. Chair, we cannot use as basis the citizenship of a person for the freezing.
Okay, can I ask you a question? Cannot non-Filipino citizen own property in the Philippines?
They cannot own, Mr. Chair, because that's in our constitution.
Yeah, but they have titles right now, and you're questioning some of the cases that have been filed according to the DOJ, questioning their acquisition of Philippine citizenship.
I understand that, Mr. Chair, but if the AMLAC will use as a basis for freezing of property, their ownership being foreign nationals will be going beyond our mandate, Mr. Chair. Because the mandate of the MLC would be the freezing in relation to the unlawful activity.
Okay, then who would be the proper agency to at least man lang annotate or something? Now, may something questionable as far as the acquisition of these properties are concerned. Who is the proper agency? None?
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
we would propound that the OSG is the proper party to do this if they file a case assailing the citizenship of the owner.
DOJ, would you confirm?
I confirm that, Your Honor.
So can OSG, motu proprio, like file lease pendants claims against these properties while the complaints have been filed?
Well, I believe, Your Honor, please, that first there has to be, as mentioned by our colleague from the MLC, the existence of the predicate crime has to be established first. And once a case is already filed in court by the Department of Justice, if the information have already been filed, then I think it would be an appropriate basis for the filing of annotation for lease pendants.
So filing in court pa?
Yes.
Not the mere filing of the complaint?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so there's nothing that can be done right now legally.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I believe that the most that we can do for now is to monitor any transactions that may involve the properties concerned, no? Just to advise future buyers who may be interested in the properties to take a second look, because these cases are now subject of a committee hearing.
Yeah.
But other than that, Your Honor, please, I think it would be a violation of due process as well if we already cease or
Without seizing it.
yes, without maybe not ceasing it, Your Honor, but to make any annotation just yet in the titles.
Because I'm really concerned, Mr. Chair, not only that they could transfer it, but the sheer number of titles involved in these particular cases, Mr. Chair, is very concerning. It's very serious one.
No, based on the latest records, it's not 290, it's 320 titles,
It's even
non-titles.
more.
I don't know, is there a way that, anyway, a case has already been filed, no? If, assuming, I'm just, this is an innocent, assuming Mr. Willie Ong, I sold his property to Juan de la Cruz. The fact that Willie Ong acquired the property through fraudulent means and then sold it to Juan de la Cruz, doesn't that make it fraudulent too? Meaning walang effect or void or not valid?
Your Honor, there is a Supreme Court decision that where a foreigner sells property to a Filipino citizen, the defect there is now cured because there is no longer a constitutional prohibition on this person who purchased the property.
Well, Mr. Chair,
Please go ahead.
LRA, how about an adverse claim on the part of the government?
Your Honor, it may not lie, sir, because what an adverse claim really does is that there is a natural person who is questioning the ownership over the property.
Well, the question on ownership is the fact that we're questioning his citizenship, how he acquired it. And we're claiming that he acquired it illegally. And since he is incapable or she's acquired citizenship is illegally, then he cannot own or possess real property. Wouldn't that be correct?
It has to be noted, Your Honor, that an adverse claim must be made by someone who claims ownership as well.
Well, the Philippine government would claim ownership.
That would be premature.
It will be premature.
What we would want the state to do would be to file SG proceedings so that the properties can revert back to the state.
But the SG proceedings would be based on what?
The fact that the properties are owned by someone who is disqualified from owning such property.
But the disqualification is still being questioned. We're still actually filing a case nga that he obtained his citizenship illegally.
We will have to await the filing of SG proceedings so we can have an annotation of
So,
this.
LRA, you're saying that as of now, we can't do anything to stop the transfer of this property?
I'm afraid so, Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman, baka meron pang pag-asa.
Yeah. Okay, Congressman Fernandez.
We all know, Mr. Chairman, that the problem of this owning of these properties by foreigners started with the PSA. Di ba? Alam naman po natin yan eh. And we have established that Eddie Yang is a foreigner who were able to get a Philippine passport because of the issuance of the PSA. Di ba? Alam naman natin yan. Establish na natin yan nakarang hearing eh. And we have found out, Mr. Chairman, along with our questioning in the last hearing, that the PSA have contracted a private company in the name of Unisys. Actually, ngayon lang po natin nalaman no last hearing that ang PSA contracted a PPP project with a Unisys Corporation. Am I right, PSA?
Yes, sir.
Correct, di ba? At itong contract natin sa Unisys, nasa phase 2 na po tayo, correct?
Yes.
At magkano yung first phase 1 natin na inubos na pera ng ano? Actually, kung public-private partnership siya, Ma'am Marisa, so basically kung public-private partnership siya, ang unang gumagastos dito yung private, correct?
Yes, sir.
How much was spent for the phase 1?
For the phase 1, sorry, I have to get it, sir. But for the phase 2, we have
1.59 yung phase 2. I'm asking for the phase 1. How much was the phase 1?
We'll check mo na here.
Ito mga pupunta kayo dito, hindi kayo handa. PSA,
Sorry po.
you know the phase 2 is 1 billion and 59 million, 590 million, 1.5. Magkano yung phase 1?
The phase 1 kasi, sir, is a build, operate, transfer.
So it's a different scheme, BOT?
Under PPP pa rin po siya.
PPP pa rin siya, pero build, operate, transfer.
Yeah.
For how many years? 13 years?
From the original contract, sir, was 10 years, and it was extended because we had to have a bidding, the bidding process for the phase 2.
So you contracted Unisys. Did you undergo a due diligence
Yes,
before
sir.
accepting yung sa bidding process ng Unisys?
The bidding process goes through the PPP, Your Honor, for the phase 1, and also for the phase 2, there's an open bidding conducted.
Are you aware of the problem that have been encountered by the Unisys in the United States, the Department of Homeland Security?
No.
Are you aware of it?
No, sir.
You're not aware of it. Yung problema ng Unisys sa FBI, na kung saan they have contracted the Unisys Corporation sa Department of Homeland Security, which was discussed in the committee of the Congress of the United States, wherein they were accused of criminal fraud. And if I may read, Mr. Chairman, in 2006, Washington Post reported that the FBI was investigating Unisys for alleged cybersecurity lapses under the company's contract with the United States Department of Homeland Security. A number of security lapses supposedly occurred during the contract, including incidents in which data was